Mayor of Tacoma forcefully calling for the officers involved in the death of Mannie Ellis to be fired.
Victoria Woodard's held a late-night news conference to address new video that surfaced on social media showing the confrontation that happened in early March. The Pierce County Sheriff's Office confirms this is the incident they're investigating involving Ellis. Two videos posted by Tacoma Action Collective shows officers hitting Ellis as they try to restrain him on the ground. In the second video, you can hear the officers repeatedly telling him to put his hands behind his back. Now, the videos do not show what led up to this. The sheriff's office says Ellis flagged down Tacoma police for help after trying to open car doors. And they say he then assaulted an officer. Ellis's death was ruled a homicide. The report found he died of respiratory arrest due to hypoxia because of physical restraint. Investigators say at one point Ellis told officers he couldn't breathe.
The officers' actions we saw on this video tonight only confirm that Manuel Ellis's death was a homicide. And today, I am telling you that I am going to call for several things. And the officers who committed this crime should be fired and prosecuted to the full extent of the law.
Today, Ellis's family calling for the state attorney general's office to conduct an independent investigation. They're also calling for the officers involved to be fired and arrested.
As a mother, you can never imagine what it's like to bury your son.
There was no reason to kill this man. He wasn't in danger. They weren't in danger of anything. He was unarmed.
The Tacoma City Council will meet tomorrow to possibly ask Governor Jay Inslee to order an independent review. There is a protest scheduled at the Pierce County Courthouse tomorrow afternoon at 5 o'clock. The National Guard will be present.
All the chants coming out here on the streets, one of them had to do with defunding the police, and we saw plenty of signs with that similar message. Earlier today, Mayor Jenny Durkin said she would not be cutting the SPD budget by 50%. And those that I caught up with out here tonight say the city should not be concerned with beefing up the number of officers it has, but rather the quality of those officers and the training that they receive.
All of what this is about accountability for the police.
Another night in the streets, those officers and protesters coming face to face, with some having asked the city to defund SPD by 50%. The mayor says that isn't going to happen.
I think that defunding the police is what we need to do. Having less police and having them be less militarized is only going to be safer for this community.
It's a hot topic, but some out here aren't exactly convinced it's the answer.
I don't know if that's the right step to take.
Luca Monin says it comes down to training and making sure officers get more of it and learn how to de-escalate rather than inflame.
I think that there needs to be a drastic shift in the qualifications to be a police officer. They're supposed to be keeping us safe. And our lives are on the line. And I think people are tired of that.
And with the police chief announcing a new policy when it comes to those mourning badges and being able to ID those in uniform, Monin says it's a step in the right direction.
When officers are accountable for their actions and know that people know who they are, it kind of removes the mask that people can hide behind.
And behind this line, some hope those on the other side hear their message.
Some of these cops are out here really empathetic, but they have a job, and you have to understand it. I'm trying to understand that as well. Some of these dudes want to be out here and saying Black Lives Matter as well.
Let me emphasize this evening was peaceful from start to finish. It was loud and high energy. The groups we followed called for unity, more Black-owned businesses in Seattle, and the need for police reform. But I really got a closer look at how these marchers are mobilizing and organizing. There is no centralized leadership, no one group leading, or even one message. And that's the point. One of the speakers told me the goal is to keep these demonstrations organic, and they're trying to give multiple speakers a voice, sort of like pop-up protests. And on day 7 of demonstrations, that's exactly what happened. A massive group of about 1,000 people met at Cal Anderson, then took to the streets of Capitol Hill, marched through First Hill, and then they linked up with another massive group, and police allowed them to march peacefully without any confrontations. They chanted for unity, shared their hopes and dreams once the demonstrations end, but again, called for sustained momentum. They are not planning to stop organizing and marching. Now, it's unclear when the protesters will start again tomorrow, but there is a group meeting at Westlake Park and several more groups meeting right here near Cal Anderson Park in the East Precinct.
Unemployment benefits dropped by 36% last week. The state believes that's due to more fraud prevention measures and because more counties are lifting restrictions. And today we're learning that many people who've had their benefits stalled for one reason or another are starting to get paid. KOMO Suzanne Font reports.
Paid. No.
Uplifting news from unemployed workers across Washington state. Stephen Crawford, a transport driver, has been waiting for nearly 12 weeks now. He found out this morning he's getting 4 weeks of unemployment benefits.
They cleared all those flags up on my account, says I'm paid, says I was approved. So I'm just waiting for the money to reach my account.
It's also good news for Jennifer Shulman, a radiology technician. She hasn't been paid for 3 weeks. Employment Security Department said it stalled payments for several days to verify identities because of massive unemployment fraud involving an international crime ring. Now it appears that unemployed people will be getting money again. ESD says $77 million in funds will be released to 32,000 people today.
The money is not in the bank yet, but it normally takes about 24 hours to 48 once it goes to paid.
Commissioner Susie Levine says the claims of 51,000 people were resolved Wednesday night. Those were people who had their unemployment claims held up because of identity concerns, but many others will remain stuck for a while longer.
We know that people are really hurting out there and are working as hard as we can on resolving, and we're coming up with solutions for how we can rapidly review those identities.